Well, at the beginning of the year, our economy was through the roof, with the Dow reaching an all-time high of 29,551 points. Well, that was back on February 12th. But as we all witnessed, the coronavirus pandemic caused a drastic downturn in our economy. And then as the country was just starting to reopen, we saw a lot of civil unrest, which put the nation on edge. But last Friday, President Trump got a big boost with the jobs report, showing 2.5 million jobs added and the unemployment rate dropping 13.3% in May. So can the president ride this economic wave through November to the election? Let's ask our company. Jessica DeLoach, Democratic strategist and former advisor for Pete Buttigieg presidential campaign, and John Fund, national affairs reporter for the National Review and Newsmax contributor. Thank you both for being here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. John, let me start with you. The president really was riding high on the economy. He's putting a lot of the re-election eggs in that basket. And then suddenly you've got coronavirus hits, bam, all those good numbers tank, and you've got this civil unrest, which added to it. But Friday morning, they get this huge dose of good news. We were expecting 8 million plus jobs lost. Instead, it's 2.5 billion gained. But here's the thing. It didn't really seem to resonate. It didn't get out. How does the Trump campaign try to capitalize on this and get back on the economic message?
They obviously are going to have a better economy in November than they have now, but there's a big caution flag. When the first stimulus bill passed Congress, Democrats insisted that it have a federal unemployment benefit bonus, $600 a week. Now, in a lot of states, if you add that to the existing state unemployment benefits, it's a fair chunk of change. In fact, almost 2/3 of Americans earn more if they are on unemployment than if they went back to work. So those benefits last until July 31st. A lot of people aren't going to go back to work until they have to, both because they're concerned about the virus and also because they may not like their jobs as much as they otherwise might. So that kind of 2-month lag is going to slow down further improvement of these unemployment numbers.
Jessica, I want to show you a Wall Street Journal poll that really shows what people view Trump's strength and Biden's strength. And when you look at it, there's a lot here, but it really breaks into two categories. People think that Trump is really strong on the economy and he's the right person to get it back on track, while they think that Biden is the right person to heal our nation. So if Trump has this view, people already think that he's strong on the economy. Should he keep touting that message and that be his strengthening his base, or should he adjust a little bit and try to pull people over by being more compassionate and trying to show that he is also the right person to heal the nation?
Sure. Well, if I were advising President Trump, I would definitely tell him to maybe make his tone a little bit nicer, be a little bit warmer, because that's a tremendous complaint that you're reading about him right now, because he doesn't project the same type of warmth that previous presidents have projected during times of need and times of struggle. The other thing is that when it comes to the economy, he's definitely better positioned than Biden is in a lot of ways, because he's the president. He's the person that any good results will be attached to. And I do believe that the initial steps to recovery, based on the recession we're in now, will end up being easier on the front end than it will be later on, because during the Great Recession, we peaked at about a 20% unemployment rate. And then the recovery after that, after the first initial decline, was very slow. But you're going to have people who want to go back to work. There's dignity in being in your job and bringing home an income. And I think that if the Trump campaign or the Trump administration plays their cards right and they look at another economic stimulus, everything could time out in their favor.
Yeah, it's interesting, John, when you look at the latest Zogby polls, the president's hovering at 48%, which for him is actually really good. I mean, he has never, in most of these polls, ever crossed 50%. I know a few times in Rasmussen, but in this one, this is a pretty high water mark for him. So going back to what Jessica and Lindsay was just talking about, this weekend, you saw Mitt Romney as the most high-profile Republican out there walking in these Black Lives Matter protests. I don't think you're going to see the president marching in a Black Lives Matter protest, but should he be doing more, and should the Republican Party be doing more and taking their cues from what Mitt Romney was doing?
Well, I think the president should embrace certain police reforms. There are certain things that Congressman Will Hurd.
I'm not talking about the police reforms. I get that part of it, but the message more of we understand the bigger message that you guys have. We're listening to you. That uniting piece that he's missing in the poll right now that Jessica and Lindsay were talking about. Should he focus? He's been focused on law and order. I get that, but should he focus more on the message of healing, compassion, empathy, and racial justice?
Well, of course he should. The problem is the tweets that he send out at best mixed messages. The tweets that are being discussed today weren't helpful. And the president should just tweet less and recognize that even though it's a great form of expression, maybe he should pick it up after the election rather than before.
Jessica, as Sean mentioned, we're probably not going to see the president marching in a Black Lives Matter rally. But should he do a State of the Union, or should he give an address to the nation to show that he is concerned about the Black communities and that he's on board?
Absolutely. It's actually a little bit shocking that he hasn't done so yet. I mean, again, if you're only talking the politics of this is a weak spot. The president represents everyone. He's supposed to be the person who nurtures the nation while he also speaks for it and defends it. We haven't seen that yet. And this movement is not going anywhere. And it would be a mistake to not have any progress come from this. That's not to say that it would weaken him to be kind. I don't think showing warmth is his strong suit, but the administration would be missing a tremendous opportunity to not pivot to criminal justice reform and to making progress after you've seen these demonstrations. The nation wants it.
You know, it's funny. I brought this up in my interview with the president last week. He's got this record that he touts: criminal justice reform, funding for HBCUs, opportunity zones, low unemployment rates with the Black community. And yet he's trying to tout that. But the question is, how do you do it now in the context of what's happening? I think that the White House is trying to figure that out. And that's going to be, if you can get that number and that gap closed in that area and the economy does rise the way that John was mentioning, I think they're going to be in much better shape heading into the conventions and heading into the fall. But guys, we got a lot to talk about. I want to get your take on the VP next week. So hope to have you back. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with our good guy. Stick with us.